The Matrix will have you for life if you let it. The dominant system that's currently in place isn't designed for you to escape it. It's quite the opposite, in fact. It's meticulously designed so that once that you're in, you'll never leave. The machine only works if you're turning the wheels. They need you working a 9 to 5, not just so they can keep their operations running and that you can pay taxes. No. It's deeper than that. They need you working a 9 to 5 so that you have no time to ever look up. You wake up at 8 o'clock, you commute to work, you stare at a screen all day, you eat a Tesco's meal deal for lunch, nutrition. You drive home in traffic stressed. You get home in the evening, you have dinner, you watch TV, and then you go to bed, only to wake up and repeat the process the next day. This to me is hell, a hell that is a reality for the vast majority of people. You only realize that it's hell once you step out of it. Once you're in hell, you just keep going through it day in and day out. Why do you think you can only have 4 weeks off a year and you'd never be able to take them off all at once? I'll tell you why. It takes you around 4 to 6 weeks to reset your nervous system. You know, if you were able to be away from your stress-inducing job for that long that you hate, you'd realize how much of a joke it was and how detrimental it was to your dreams. They don't want that, so they throw you a bone by giving you holiday leave. The catch is that it's to manipulate you. It gives you enough time to relax and to recharge so that you'll come back to work and be able to go again, but it doesn't give you enough time to wake up and realize that the life that you're living isn't serving you. I know, right? Whoever came up with this system truly understands human psyche. They know what makes us tick. They know how to work us. They know what to tell us. They know how to control us. Do you really think that humans want to be sat at a desk for most of their lives doing something that they hate? Of course they don't. Sadly, most people give up on their dreams the moment that they get their first job, and they don't even realize it. Their minds have already been well programmed for slavery, and the choice to leave isn't even an option because that idea isn't even in their consciousness. They're programmed into a society to help run the machine by giving up on themselves and living someone else's dream. Welcome to the Matrix. So why do you stay? When working people were asked, 85% of them reported that they felt unfulfilled and dissatisfied with their job. If you're working for someone else, I'm assuming you fall into this category too. You know, statistically, most people do. It's not a surprise, really. We often end up working at jobs that have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with anything we're truly interested in. We just end up in places that will do, I guess. You know, it might have good pay, it might be the convenience of it, you know, the job is just down the road. You might even have like a friendship group at work, you've met people that you like, or it could even be like the perceived stature of the job title that comes with it. Sounds silly, but a lot of people get a boner over being a manager or assistant manager or a deputy this or whatever the title is. There are many reasons why people stay, but none of those reasons tend to be because you like the actual job itself. If you work 8 hours a day plus 2 hours commute there and back, you're spending nearly a third of your life doing something that doesn't serve you, even worse, that you do not like. That would be enough to drive anyone insane, and you wonder why you feel the way that you do about the life that you're living. Unless you're doing something that you actually enjoy doing, the truth of the matter is that if you've been at the job for more than 6 months, you're probably over it. 6 months is the time it takes for the excitement of the new job to fade, you know, learning how to do it, gaining new skills, connecting with your colleagues, of course, getting used to the routine of the work and the life balance. After this time is up and not a day more, you'll start to feel dissatisfied and unfulfilled. You may not be aware of it at first, but that's the point. You're not supposed to. The bank holidays, the festivals, and days you've booked off for holiday give you something to look forward to and to keep you going. Until what happens? Until you're a year in and you just feel stuck. Yeah, you want to leave, but what's the point? You've just started, right? And what would you do instead anyways? When you're stuck in a job and your argument is, what would you do that's better anyway? This is your subconscious speaking to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what it's saying? It's saying there isn't anything better because none of these jobs are what you want to do. The funny thing is about humans is our spirit is always trying to talk to us. We just don't listen to it. So what we do is we ignore ourselves and we continue at the job that doesn't fulfill us because it's just a means to an end. Like, don't get me wrong, it pays the bills, right? It makes me feel secure. It isn't hard to do now. It puts food on my table and it's familiar to me. Oh, and don't forget, I've got friends there. What have you done though? You've traded your joy and fulfillment for a means to an end. The only end it's leading to is you, to a deathbed full of regrets. You might feel trapped in your current job, right? I get it. You're supposed to. That feeling you have isn't entirely true. You may feel trapped, but there is a way out. The way out is pursuing your passions and pursuing your dreams. You know, do what you love and love what you do. The main problem for the 85% of people who don't feel satisfied and fulfilled in their jobs is that these individuals often find themselves in jobs that aren't completely aligned with their passions or even their values. The truth is, it's very hard to find a job that is. They are out there. But that's why most people settle for one that isn't. The trade-off is real, you know. If you really had a choice, would you pick a job that you really wanted to do, or would you pick one that you didn't? Right, well, here's the thing. You do have a choice. We all do. There's nothing wrong with working for someone else whatsoever. In fact, you know, having a job can actually be a massive stepping stone to getting you to where you want to go. The problem that I have with this is that often it's not. You know, often it's just a job. Often it's just for money. Often it's a means to an end. What you don't realize is that choosing the easy route can and will eventually lead to you feeling empty, frustrated, and burned out. Here's a hot take for you. Burnout isn't just a symptom of you working too hard. It's a symptom of you working on something that doesn't ignite your soul. Shall I say it again? Burnout isn't just a symptom of you working too hard. It's a symptom of you working on something that doesn't ignite your soul. Really, burnout is your body's way of telling you that you don't want to do this anymore in the context that I'm talking about. Yeah, you don't listen, and day in and day out, you're forcing yourself out of bed to go and do a job that you hate. Yeah. That's burnout. I hope you have a holiday booked to help put a plaster on that. Problem with work is that it's not just work either. If you feel unfulfilled in your work and you spend a third of your life there, what do you think will happen? These negative emotions that you have towards your job will spill over into your everyday life, and it will start leaching, you know, at your overall happiness and of course your well-being as well. So I have a little exercise for you that will make you see the reality of the words that I've just spoken. The next time you're on a commute to work, just pay extra attention to people around you, you know, as much as possible. Don't stare at them though, you don't want to be a weirdo. Just observe the mannerisms and their facial expressions of every single person that you can identify that looks like they're going to work. And here's the catch, whatever you see in these people is what you will see in yourself. I'm interested, I'd love to know what you see, so, you know, hit me up when you do this one. It really is an eye-opener to the world and how people are living, but also how you are thinking and feeling about going to work too. You'll realize a lot about the majority of people just by observing them on their way to work. And who knows, it might even be the eye-opener that you need. It's your life at the end of the day. You might not see the value in leaving your job. Most don't because they've straight up given up on themselves. It's easier to just follow what everyone else is doing rather than living life on your terms. I beg to differ. Now that I'm out of the rat race and pursuing my passions, I'd say it's definitely easier than dragging myself off to a job that I hate every single day. It's much easier. You know, we've actually all got this backwards. We think that the easy route is the easiest route, but actually it's the harder one. When you admit to yourself how you truly feel about your job, and more importantly, your life, you will gain the clarity needed that will fuel your desire to change your situation forever. You will realize that you have an opportunity to live a life, a more fulfilling life, one that is purpose-driven. Your life can either be something that you love living or something that you hate. The choice of the matter is entirely down to how you choose to spend your days living it. If you want something better, you must go after it. Surely you're fed up with dreading work each and every single day. It doesn't have to be this way. You are in the driver's seat, and the truth is you are simply one decision away from changing your life for the better forever. When you go on the journey to find work that aligns with your passions and your values, you will inevitably experience greater satisfaction, happiness, fulfillment. These are all byproducts of choosing yourself and doing what lights up your soul. Surely these things are worth more than what your job is paying you right now, which is what? A salary that barely gets you by. Is it really worth it? The enthusiasm and the determination that you unlock when you begin to access your full potential and pursue your dreams is what I love to call living. Until you begin to feel this way about what you're doing each and every day, the truth is you're not living. You're just doing what 85% of people are doing, getting by, aka dying. Imagine your life is a computer game. You only have one life though. Are you really going to spend the time playing that game, doing the boring stuff in the game? Or are you going to get through the tutorial as quickly as possible, level up your skills, and play it to the best of your abilities whilst trying to have the most fun that you can have? Your life is that video game. It's time that you start playing it correctly. So what's stopping you? Most people have been programmed to believe that pursuing their passions as a career is unrealistic, ridiculous, or even impractical, usually meaning it won't make them money, by the way. When we're kids, we dream bigger than our imagination, and when we're adults, we dream of the weekend. So when did life make us so small? If it wasn't the programming, perhaps it's the fear of the unknown and leaving security that comes with a stable job. If 2020 was anything to prove it, there is no such thing as a stable job. Why would you want to put all of your trust and well-being into something you can't control? Easy. It comes down to trust. Most don't trust themselves enough to believe that they're capable of doing it. I get it, although it's all in your head, sometimes it's hard to ignore the overbearing conditioning that you've been exposed to your entire life. One of the barriers to living a more fulfilling life is the belief that you aren't able to. You might tell yourself that you're not ready, you don't have the skills, you don't have the knowledge first. The truth is you will never be ready. You just have to start and learn as you go along. Work has you hypnotized into believing that your job title actually means anything. These titles become a badge of honor that often gives the wearer a sense of pride, importance, and belonging. It feeds into the very emotional desires that the job makes you feel absent of, therefore artificially fulfilling that role. Whether or not they admit it, their job has become their identity, making it even harder to leave. Some may feel pressure from society or family to prioritize traditional career paths over personal fulfillment. Sometimes your idea of life is a lot different to society's, and for that reason you aren't able to quit that job that you hate so much. You feel that doing so will mean you not only disappoint people, but you also run the risk of alienating yourself from your friends and your family. A burden that is too big to bear for most, so they just stay put instead. Having a fear of failure or rejection are all common reasons that hold people back from pursuing their dreams. The irony being that by not pursuing your dreams, you're already failing. And if you don't choose them, well, then you're just rejecting yourself. The universe works in mirrors, remember. Whatever you see is reflected back to you. Whatever your fear is, you're most likely already living it in some other area of your life, because that is the reality that you have created. Your job is to work for money. Your job's job is to work you until you can't be worked anymore. If you want my advice, don't let it get to this point. You must realize how you truly feel about your situation and admit to yourself that you're not in a happy place. Don't reject these feelings. Let them grow and fester. Most people who feel this way numb themselves on the weekends, and this often means partying, drugs, sex, alcohol, TV, drama. The list goes on and on. Anything really to avoid the feelings that keep coming up for them. The thing is, if you let these feelings rise to the surface, eventually you will become so enraged that you'll have no option, you have no choice but to either murder your boss or change your situation. Avoiding your problems ensures that your problems remains. Address your problems and you will find a solution. Your brain is naturally programmed to do so. Okay, so it's story time. time. I like to think of myself as extremely strong-minded. There isn't much in life that I can let get to me. That's not to say that I don't feel. Of course I do. I just don't allow my external environment to influence how I'm feeling on the inside as much as possible. With that being said though, I lost myself last year for quite some time, and it wasn't until I felt that inner rage inside did I realize it was time to change my situation. For a good part of a year and a half, I grabbed a delivery job. I needed some extra money and I wanted something that was flexible and of course not that mentally taxing as well. I simply wanted to increase the money in my pocket. I had no desire to get a corporate job. I did that for 3 years and I said to myself that I would never do it again. So this job seemed ideal for me. You know, I can't lie, at the beginning it was great. I could get on with the job. I didn't have anyone breathing down my neck or looking over my shoulder, constantly micromanaging me. And best of all, I could listen to all my favorite books, podcasts and YouTubers literally all day. I learned a lot, but at what cost? Like I said, at the beginning it was great, but there were a few things that were terribly wrong. Firstly, the job didn't have a fixed start and finish. I would get in at 7 a.m. and some days I would finish at 5 p.m. This was actually a good day. Other days I could be working up until 8 p.m. Also, with it being an overly physical job with no breaks, might I add, you can imagine, driving, lifting heavy boxes, doing at least 20k steps a day. By the time I did come home, I had no energy for anything else, even if I was lucky enough to come home at a decent hour. There was hope. I had the same route every day, so once I started to get used to it, I moved my drop time down to from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. Of course, meaning that I could finish at around 3 to 5 p.m. most days. When I told my boss to move down my time, what do you think happened? I was rewarded with even more parcels to deliver. So doing your job efficiently meant more work to do. Nice. Something that isn't exclusive to this job, by the way. Remember, your job's job is to work you until you can't work anymore. Working long hours coupled with the intensity of the job, not having my life outside of my job, and a boss who slowly began showing his true colors when I began questioning the ridiculousness of it all, eventually took its toll on me. I needed to find a way out, but before I even began looking for it, I had to lose myself first. Despite being paid, which is what I wanted, I felt empty and uninspired. I knew I was worth a lot more than that job, and at the beginning I was fine with it. It was only temporary, but even with this understanding of why I was there, eventually I started believing that I wasn't worthy of anything better. Being in that environment for too long made me feel hopeless. I didn't just feel inadequate at work, I felt it at home too. I didn't believe in myself anymore. My job made me feel worthless, and because of that I stopped pursuing my dreams as much. I withdrew myself in my relationships. I started to feel anxious and depressed. I didn't talk to my friends. I felt as though I would be there forever. This was no muy bueno. I knew I had to leave and that once I did, I would get my life back. But because I didn't feel great about myself anymore, I didn't trust that I could do it. The money pacified me enough to have me keep putting it off as well. The job made me feel negatively enough to not trust that I had it in me to take back control. My mind wasn't as positive and strong as it usually is. The life I was leading was quite dark, to be honest, I can't lie. If I hadn't have gone through that, then this newsletter from 9 to 5 to Alive would never have happened. It seems like I had to go through hell to find heaven. Now that I'm out of it, I can see clearer than ever, but trust me, when I was in the thick of it, there was no end in sight. If there's anything that I want you to take away from this story, I'm telling you, it's this. Please, 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 please do not let it go to the point that I let it get to. You don't have to. If you stay somewhere longer than you're supposed to, eventually that place will begin changing you. This is the biggest lesson for me. I will never, ever, ever, ever put myself in any situation that takes from me again. Not even for a short while. I know now how detrimental that is, not just to your mind, but to your life as well. And fortunately for me, I had the knowledge to get out and an incredibly supportive partner too. But I'm aware that most people have neither. Now I understand why most don't change their situation. Here is how exactly you can change yours. So before we get into it, this process isn't much use unless you actually put it to use. Something that I heard the other day was this: education is only education if you take action. Otherwise, it's just entertainment. So before we get into it, What are you actually here for? Is it to be entertained or is it to be educated? I want you to live your best life. I want you to realize your fullest potential. I want you to be everything that you have set out to be and more. I want these things for you, but you have to want them yourself. I'm not in the business for changing people. I'm in the business for giving people the tools to change themselves. I implore you to take action and change your life forever. Leave the job that doesn't serve you. Say yes to living your best life and create a version of you that you can be proud of being instead of the character that you've been pretending to be. It's time to step into your power. Okay, that's enough hyping up. Let's get into it, right? So step 1, identify your passions and values. Reflect on what truly brings you joy and fulfillment in life. This is the most important step because if you don't identify this, you will just end up doing something that makes you feel exactly the same as before. So yes, get a pen and get some paper, find somewhere you enjoy being and just write everything that comes to mind. It doesn't have to be specific to work. It just has to be what truly brings you joy and fulfillment in life. Step 2 is explore alternative career paths. So start researching different industries or opportunities that actually align with your passions and skills. This is crucial because by doing this, your brain will begin subconsciously looking for alternative paths for you to take. Our minds love solving problems. The problem is we don't give it anything to solve. With that list that you found, begin looking at ways you can find joy and fulfillment in the career path that aligns with your passions and your skills. This doesn't necessarily mean not getting another job, by the way. You can most certainly begin with a job you actually like and go from there, or one that actually is going to give you the skills that you need to progress further in what you actually do want to do. Remember, everything is temporary. Of course, the goal is to pave your own path, but for now, if you're unsure of what that is, that's fine. Get a job. It's not the end of the world. Just make sure it's not sucking your soul. Step 3 is create a plan. So what you want to do is you want to develop a step-by-step plan to transition out of your current job and into a career that actually fulfills you. This one is going to be very specific to you and your situation, but create a plan with an end goal which makes the transition as smooth and stress-free as possible. I definitely give it a deadline though. This way you have to execute on it by that time. If you do not plan, you will fail. If you plan and take no action, you will fail. I wonder what the next step is going to be. The next step is action. Start taking small steps towards your goals, whatever it is. That could be networking, gaining new skills, or launching a side hustle. With everything you've written down so far, you should now break down the steps in your plan into an action plan. What actions do you need to take daily, weekly, monthly to get you to where you want to go? For example, if my end goal is to become a PT, first I must research PT courses. Daily, I'd learn about personal training, and weekly, I will take on clients for free to get experience applying what I've learned. And finally, this one is the creme de la creme. Seek support. This means surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals who can offer guidance, encouragement, and support along the way. This one is absolutely key to your success. You need to find people that are doing what you're doing, find people that have done what you're doing, and teach people that want to do what you're doing. If you take all of these steps in the order I've given you, you will have no other option but to succeed. It isn't complicated if you take the time to outline it all. Once it's clear in your mind, you'll find it even easier to take action. Good luck, my friend. I'll see you on the other side. I just wanted to finish on this. Your job might pay you, but what it costs is your dreams. It's time to prioritize your passions and create a life that truly fulfills you.